In 2 days, Lieutenant Governor Michael Fedele will face two tough Republican challengers in the primary for governor. With a slate of new commercials running on TV and radio, he's gaining recognition and the latest polls show a lot of support. The Lieutenant Governor is here now to talk about the next 48 to 72 hours. Also joining us, Pat Scully from Scully Communications, who will join me in getting the real story. Thanks, both of you, for joining us.
Hey, Lori, how are you?
Good. I've been seeing you like every day for like the last week.
Well, that's good.
I know,
That's
is good. So tell me, what is going to be the next 3 days for you?
Well, you know, we've been out meeting folks. Been doing train stations every morning, talking to groups, talking about who we are, our message, and we did a debate yesterday, and really just kind of basic retail politics. Some of these debates or candidate forums really in a 2-minute response don't give you the format to really have people ask questions. Just before I came here, I spent a half an hour with an individual on the phone who, during our calls, asked a question on policy, and we're able to spend that time with that individual and got that vote. So that's the kind of stuff that we're doing as leading up to a primary down August 10th.
You know, one thing that I've heard you talk a lot about and that I think that people are very interested in is you say that you're going to lessen our reliance on the property tax. Talk to people about how you're going to do that and where you'll make up the money.
Well, the property tax or the income tax?
I'm sorry, yes.
Yes, on tax, right. Well, I've taken a no-tax pledge. For too long in government, we have gone to the revenue bucket instead of looking at the expense bucket. If you look at state spending over the last 20 years, encompassing Republican and independent Democratic governors, it's gone up 300%. I'm sure if I were to ask the viewers and any of us, our income hasn't gone up that way. If it has, I'll go into your business. Right. But the point is, we need to take a hard look at that. And when we say looking at the spending side, we have to look at where we can do efficiencies in spending. For too long, we look at programs in government. We don't go back and say, is this program working? Is it not working? Should we still be doing it? If it's worthwhile doing, can we do it better? Can we use technology? Is there a private provider who could do it better? I've used some examples on some of the human services programs where it costs us $2,200 per day to provide that same service in a Connecticut state-run hospital over a nonprofit private sector. Those are the kind of things, and we have to be able to say no. For too long, the majority legislature has come and said, well, we've done a little cutting. Let's look at revenue. Let's look at shifting some long-term borrowing, some shell games. Can't do that anymore.
How quickly do you think you could make those kinds of reviews and cuts?
November 3rd.
Really?
We're working now. I mean, look, there's not a lot of time. The next governor gets sworn, I think, the first Wednesday in January. The budget, I think, because it's a new governor, you don't have to do it the first Wednesday in February. It's a couple of weeks after. There really isn't a lot of time. And I think that's why it's important having someone in the governor's seat who knows where to start going, who knows, quite frankly, the personalities, the process. Someone coming in who hasn't done that is going to be starting from scratch.
Governor, one of the significant numbers in the latest Quinnipiac poll was that 60% of likely voters in the Republican primary could change their mind before Election Day. How do you reach that 60% in these final closing days?
Pat, exactly as I just said. We're out there talking to folks. We're obviously running our positive messages out there also. We are doing direct mail. We're calling folks. We have our volunteers calling every night. Last night, just one of our volunteer centers, not a paid center, our volunteer centers did 2,500 phone calls. So we're getting out there, and then if there's questions, we're following up on it.
Many people see the hallmark of this election being the negative ads and the back and forth, particularly about the textile mill, the bib company. And this week I got an email from your campaign with audio quotes from people from down there.
Sure.
Is that what this election is about?
No.
Back and forth on negative ads?
Absolutely not, Pat. And what my election's about is talking about the facts, both from a policy perspective that Mike Fedele is going to do, but also, let's be very clear, my opponent Tom Foley has made job creation and his fix-it things the centerpiece of who he is. And bib is a perfect classic example of an 80s corporate raider who went in, bought the largest textile mill in America, took $20 million from it, and it went bankrupt. Now, people say that's negative. Bad factual news, no matter how you paint it, is not good. And no one, including Tom's campaign, they can say, well, no, that didn't happen. But all the information that we've provided in our ads, the Security and Exchange Commission, the police reports, all the application for the NAS, all that information is factual. No one said, well, this information is wrong. So I guess what I'm saying is if you make something the centerpiece of what you're doing, And we present that because it's important. The citizens should know that. If people call it negative, it's only negative because it's not pretty news, but it's the real story.
Well, I think
no pun intended, by the way.
Well, I think I have two thoughts about that. First of all, okay, he was a corporate radar, but that was his business, right? I mean, he had a business acquisition company.
Absolutely.
That was his business. And, are you trying to insinuate that if he were to become governor that he would bankrupt the state? Or
Let me tell you. Well, possibly. And the people in Georgia tell you that. I guess the next ad, she said, y'all better leave the state, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you the difference between creating jobs and creating wealth. Mike Fedele and his business experience created jobs, one job at a time, one deal at a time, and I built a national company doing that. There's a difference in creating wealth. Tom Foley created wealth. Businesses always have difficult times. When you take $20 million out of a business and that business is going the wrong way, you look at that investment and say, maybe I should invest in that business if I really believe in it. What happened at Bibb is not only a tragedy to the individuals who lost their jobs and put this business out of there, they lost the city. Bibb City no longer exists. It had to be absorbed by Columbus, Georgia in order to survive. And again, I go back. What Tom did and Mike Milliken and Ivan Bulsky, all those guys did, wasn't illegal. Right? But if you think about it, is that really the kind of individual that we want in government and creating jobs and working with the legislature and working with the citizens of this state? My answer is no, I don't think so. And quite frankly, that's what's showing up in the polls.
Do you expect to, so can we expect to not see negative ads in the closing days?
Pat, we're actually, if you started looking in the last couple of days, we have been doing positive ads, and we have been doing positive, and we'll continue doing that. We're talking about the Fedele plan. We're talking about the things we can do. But again, you guys refer to them as negative ads. I don't view them as negative ads. I'm talking about someone's record. And if you've got a bad record, it's a bad record. There's no way I can sugarcoat that, and that's what we've tried to do.
What is not being talked about that you wish you could spend a few moments to talk about?
Well, I would love to get deeper into the programs that we've talked about. Where some of the spending cuts would be. My view of government. My view, actually, with business. There's a lot of chatter this week about the governor and the hedge funds. But one of the things that I talk about in my papers that when we presented them back in December on my website is creating business councils, but not just for hedge funds, but for aerospace, for finance, and bringing those businesses together, small, medium, large, all size, saying to them, along with the legislative leadership, saying, hey guys, what is it, and gals, what is it that we're doing right in the state? Great. What is it that we're doing wrong? And tell us how we can help you grow that business in Connecticut or come to Connecticut. And the governors did that this week with the hedge fund folks and having that dialogue. We need to do more of that because for too long in government, we felt, well, we have all the answers. We know what's good for you. And we found that not to be the case because now government is the #1 employer in Connecticut. That shouldn't be the dynamics. Right. Private sector should be.
Right. You feeling good going into these last 5 years?
I feel like $1 million. I'm excited. I'm charged up. My campaign is really excited. And it's shown in the momentum that we have there. People are starting to focus and listen to what we have to say. And I think they're liking what they're hearing. And again, I think when what Republicans have to ask themselves going into the November election, who do they want to be our standard bearer, not only for us, but for the rest of the constitutional office holders?
And your opponent probably feels like several $1 million.
Probably several $1 million, absolutely.
All right, we wish you good luck.
Thank you, Lori.
Thanks for spending
Pat.
time
Good
with
to
us
see you.
today.
Thank you.
Ahead, we are going to meet Jerry Garcia. He is running to be Connecticut's next Secretary of the State.